반짝이는 눈빛 눈이 부셔 매일 날 감싸주는 손길.
It was concluded that Jangsun Jang mistakenly believed Han Yeon-woo to be her own child due to her unstable mental state. Both Kim Mari and Jang Yeon-ja now believe this. If Jangsun Jang hadn't grabbed Han Jin-tae's thigh pin and prevented him from harming her, the incident could have been buried. Han Yeon-sung knows that Han Jin-tae committed the crime by not searching for Han Yeon-woo, whom he found at Haedeul Hospital 27 years ago. After that, he tried to go home and talk about it, but when Kim Mari's father insulted Han Jin-tae as a servant of Haedeul and told Kim Mari not to trust her husband, Han Jin-tae gave up all thoughts. If it was true, why did Han Jin-tae work so hard to find Jangsun Jang's past, even getting a genetic test, and even tried to send Chae Woo Ri to a local hospital? The type-in that Han Jin-tae has holds a secret that is more than just a secret, suggesting to us Jangsun Jang passed away at Haedeul Hospital 27 years ago. If we go back to the scene of Jangsun Jang's death, we first see Han Jin-tae coming to examine Chae Sun-young's hospital room. Han Jin-tae checked Chae Sun-young's condition and asked where the patient in the next bed has gone. Chae Sun-young replied that her condition had worsened and she had been moved into the intensive care unit. As Han Jin-tae was leaving after talking to Chae Sun-young, he saw a young child. The child was running towards somewhere crying. Han Jin-tae thought the child was Han Yeon-woo and followed him. The child stopped near the intensive care unit. It is a restricted area where visitors are not allowed to enter without permission, as it is a critical care unit. The child, who was presumed to be Han Yeon-woo, sat down and wiped his tears, looking inside the intensive care unit. There was a young woman lying on the bed who looked like the child's mother. Han Jin-tae, wearing a doctor's gown, entered the room where the child's gaze was fixed. He asked Jangsun Jang, who was wearing an oxygen mask, if the child was really her child. Jangsun Jang shook her head, indicating no. When Han Jin-tae asked where the child was brought from, Jangsun Jang nodded. Despite her critical condition, Jangsun Jang was determined. Are you the child's father? Han Jin-tae did not answer that question, but Jangsun Jang took off the necktie pin on Han Jin-tae's thigh with her hand, and she held it tightly and didn't let go. Ironically, at that moment, Han Jin-tae left the room with a very tense face. Then, the medical staff in charge of Jangsun Jang detected an emergency signal and rushed into the intensive care unit. Han Jin-tae staged a scene where he avoided those people and quickly left the room. Immediately after that, Han Yeon-woo entered Chae Sun-young's hospital room. Soon after, a nurse from the intensive care unit rushed in. She said, Jangsun Jang is in critical condition. Come to the intensive care unit quickly. Chae Sun-young and Han Yeon-woo rushed to the intensive care unit where Jangsun Jang was taking her last breath. Jangsun Jang held Han Yeon-woo's hand with one hand and held Han Jin-tae's necktie pin with the other hand, while Chae Sun-young held her hand. Jangsun Jang said, Kim Woo-ri's father. Kim Woo-ri's father. Jangsun Jang didn't forget to say those words and left the world, leaving only the necktie pin. That's why Chae Woo Ri kept the necktie pin and Lego block car in a box. Considering all these situations, although Jangsun Jang was in critical condition, the person who ultimately caused her death was Han Jin-tae. Han Jin-tae is a doctor. From the perspective of a patient who depends on medical machines in the intensive care unit, even a small mistake by medical staff can cost a life. Han Jin-tae couldn't have been aware of this. Han Jin-tae was more familiar with operating medical machines in the intensive care unit than anyone else. Why did he cause Jangsun Jang's death after confirming that he brought Han Yeon-woo? Why did Jangsun Jang grab Han Jin-tae's necktie pin after confirming that Han Jin-tae was Yeon-woo's father? There is only one reason Han Jin-tae killed Jangsun Jang. It's because Jangsun Jang knew that Han Jin-tae was Han Yeon-woo's father. That's why Jangsun Jang took out Han Jin-tae's thigh pin with her hand and held it tightly until the moment she died. Perhaps Jangsun Jang and Han Jin-tae made a deal without knowing each other's existence. Han Jin-tae may have asked Jangsun Jang to take care of the child without knowing who he was. Jangsun Jang, not knowing who Han Jin-tae Tawas followed Hinta's instructions and brought the child from the Haedeul Hospital pediatric department. Maybe their deal was made over the phone. Jangsun Jang was diagnosed with terminal cancer. She was a street vendor who sold food ingredients in a food waste collection bin, and she didn't have the means to undergo surgery. Moreover, her recently deceased son, Kim Woo Ri, had to undergo heart surgery, so she had a lot of debt. In such a situation, she noticed an advertisement that promised a large sum of money if she took care of a child for a few months. So she called the number of the ad and made an appointment for the exact time and place. That's why Jangsun Jang brought the child with her. However, the person who promised to take care of the child for a few months sent living expenses and child rearing expenses for almost a year and then cut off contact. At that time, financial transparency regulations were not in place, so it was impossible to know who sent the money. Jangsun Jang had no choice but to raise the child herself. She spent several years calling him Kim Woo Ri, her own child's name. Then, 3 years later, Jangsun Jang suddenly became critically ill and was admitted to Haedeul Hospital. It was at this time that she became close to Chae Woo Ri, who shared the same hospital room.
'Cause you are